Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Surabhi Sharma. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 5th of October. India-Russia sign 8 agreements to boost bilateral ties. Anti-Pakistan protests erupt in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. An Afghan government rejects private and profit-driven war. And now for all the details, India and Russia signed 8 pacts in areas ranging from defense, nuclear energy, space and economy after talks between Russian President and Indian Prime Minister in New Delhi on Friday. Both the sides also set a target of $30 billion in bilateral trade by 2025.
Russian President Vladimir Putin met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi on Friday for annual bilateral summit talks. During the delegation-level talks, both the leaders held discussions on a wide range of subjects ranging from defense, security, trade and economy to cultural exchanges. Following talks, India and Russia signed 8 pacts in areas ranging from defense, nuclear energy, space and economy. Both the sides also welcomed the conclusion of the contract for the supply of Russian S-400 anti-aircraft missiles to India worth more than $5 billion.
भारत और रूस तेजी से बदलते हुए विश्व में मल्टीपोलैरिटी और मल्टीलेटरलिज्म को सुदृढ़ करने पर एकमत है.
And President Putin.
Later in the day, both the leaders interacted with a group of talented children and addressed an India-Russia business meet. India and Russia have had long-standing and trusted ties. However, despite the strong diplomatic and security ties, India-Russia trade volume is still at the level of $10 billion. India and Russia are now setting a target for $30 billion in bilateral trade by 2025.
Militants gunned down 2 political workers in Srinagar city of India's Jammu and Kashmir province on Friday. The attack comes days before the northern province is scheduled to hold local body polls. 2 political workers were shot dead by militants in Srinagar city of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province on Friday. Police said the 2 workers of the Regional National Conference Party got injured after militants fired upon them from close range in downtown Srinagar city. They were immediately rushed to the hospital where they succumbed to their injuries. The attack caused fear among the residents and business establishments were closed in the area immediately after the attack. Police cordoned off the area and launched a search operation to track the terrorists.
As of now, हमारे पास reports है कि 2 persons have died.
2 persons.
No.
The attack comes days before the Indian northern province is scheduled to hold local body polls. India has long accused Pakistan of arming and infiltrating terrorists across the border to spread unrest in Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistan denies the allegations. Anti-Pakistan protests were held recently by locals and activists in Pakistan-administered Kashmir over massive reduction in the flow of waters of Neelam River. The protesters blamed that Pakistan has been diverting the waters from the river, depriving the public in the illegally occupied region of their most basic right.
Massive anti-Pakistan protests erupted recently in Muzaffarabad city and other parts of Pakistan-administered Kashmir as the residents demanded an end to Pakistani occupation and strongly opposed the construction of dams in the region. Pakistan has been recklessly exploiting natural resources in the illegally occupied region by building mega dams and hydropower projects on rivers like Neelam and Jhelum. The protesters blame the projects are not only affecting the ecology but have limited the resources for the use of local residents.
पाकिस्तान अपने मुतनाज़ा इलाकों में ये डैम तामीर करके लोगों को डिस्प्लेस कर रहा है, उनको मुतबादल जगह नहीं दी जा रही, उनके ये आबादकारी का कोई मंसूबा नहीं है. माहौल के जो बैनुल अक़वामी स्टैंडर्ड है, एनवायरमेंटल प्रोटेक्शन एजेंसी के जो स्टैंडर्ड है, जो रिक्वायरमेंट है, उसको पूरा नहीं किया जा रहा, उनको बाईपास किया जा रहा है.
The locals in the illegally occupied region are deprived of even drinking water as the river Neelam is drying up due to the construction of Neelam Jhelum hydropower plant project. Residents blame Islamabad, which illegally annexed the region more than 6 decades ago, has consistently maintained its oppressive attitude towards the locals and ignores even their basic demands.
Moving on, prominent Sindhi political activist Hidayat Bhutto recently asked the United Nations to take notice of rampant gross human rights violation by Pakistan forces against innocent Sindhi people. He said that Pakistani agencies are using enforced disappearances as a tool to silence voice and struggle of Sindhi people.
Prominent political activist and president of the World Sindhi Congress, Hidayat Bhutto, has asked the United Nations to take notice of rampant violations of human rights perpetrated by Pakistani state agencies against Sindhi people. While speaking during the recent UNHRC session in Geneva, Bhutto highlighted human rights violations have increased manifold since the launch of multi-billion-dollar China-Pakistan Economic Corridor or CPEC in the region.
Pakistani agencies are using enforced disappearances as a tool to silence every voice and struggle of Sindhi people. The judicial system has provided no remedy and perpetrators continued with impunity. Additionally, the state is aggressively pursuing construction of mega projects, CPEC, and dams on Indus River without any consideration of rights of indigenous Sindhi people and the environment.
Sindhi activists have been requesting international community to take notice of violence against their peaceful struggle. They blame innocent Sindhi people are being subjected to torture, killings and enforced disappearances by Pakistani forces for raising their voices.
In news from Afghanistan, the Afghan government on Thursday said that it would consider all legal options against anyone who tries to privatize the war in the country. The statement of Afghanistan's Office of the National Security Council came in reaction to the possibility of privatizing the years-old war in the country.
The Afghan government on Thursday said as a sovereign nation it would consider all legal options against those who try to privatize war on its land. The statement of the Afghanistan's Office of the National Security Council came after the founder and former CEO of Blackwater Security Company, Eric Prince, had promoted the idea of privatizing the war in the country by using contractors. The Afghan government emphasized that the war on terrorism would continue to be led by Afghan national security and defense forces with the support of its international allies.
د هغه کسانو پر وړاندې چې په افغانستان کې د جګړې د خصوصي کولو هڅه کوي پر قانوني اقداماتو غور وکړو.
Earlier this week, President Ashraf Ghani had also said that he would not allow foreign mercenaries to operate in Afghanistan. The Afghan president was of the opinion that government forces have enough potential to save the country from collapsing.
Referred to as the Malala of Afghanistan, Brishna Musazai is a living example of resilience. Plagued by polio in one leg and shot in another by Taliban terrorists, she conquered her fears and pursued her education and has become a symbol of hope and women power in Afghanistan.
Paralyzed by polio in one leg and shot by the Taliban terrorists in another, Afghan activist Brishna Musazai is a living example of resilience. Musazai, who arrived in India on Thursday, explained her ordeal when as a student she got hit by 3 bullets in one of her legs in 2016 in a terrorist attack on her university. Post the dreadful attack, Musazai had lost all hope, thinking that her life had ended. However, she bounced back to life as her family's encouragement helped her regain hope and motivated her to pursue education further.
I feel blessed, to be honest, because if my story can change the life of a person and can encourage other people, then I think I have a very good story.
She said Afghans feel happy to have India as a friend as the Indian government has provided constant support by investing in education and development projects in Afghanistan. Musazai has become a symbol of hope and women empowerment and has often been referred to as the Malala of Afghanistan for her fight against extremism and determination to achieve more for herself.
The Coast Guards of India and Vietnam on Thursday participated in a joint maritime exercise of the coast of India's southern Chennai port. The exercise is aimed at boosting ties between the two countries and addressing key security issues, including anti-piracy, search and rescue operations.
The Coast Guards of India and Vietnam on Thursday carried out a joint search and rescue exercise off the coast of India's southern Chennai port. 3 Indian Coast Guard ships including Shaurya, Arnvesh and C-431, ICG Dornier and Chetak helicopter were part of the joint maritime exercise with the Vietnamese Coast Guard ship CSB 8001. The activity is a part of initiatives aimed at boosting cooperation between maritime forces of the two nations and to address maritime threats that the countries face.
I take away the hospitality, the warm receptions of the Indian trusted friends. I also take away the experience to organize a joint exercise. We also take away the techniques, the know-how, and how to coordinate between different ships and vessels.
What we did today was basically we translated what was on paper to action at sea, wherein we demonstrated maritime boarding operations, pollution control, firefighting, interdiction operations, search and rescue, and also helicopter operations.
The joint training exercise aims to work on key security issues including anti-piracy, search and rescue operations, pollution control, and firefighting situations.
The British High Commission on Thursday hosted a reception to celebrate the decision by India's Supreme Court to decriminalize homosexuality in the country. The event was attended by members of LGBT community, including human rights activists and lawyers. The British High Commission on Thursday hosted a reception in New Delhi to celebrate the landmark judgment by India's Supreme Court to decriminalize homosexuality in the country. Around 100 members of lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender or LGBT community, including human rights activists and lawyers, came together to applaud the top court's verdict. They hailed the decision as a moment to cherish in their fight to secure their basic rights. The reception was lit up in the iconic LGBT rainbow colors, setting the scene for a vibrant and colourful celebrations.
We welcome absolutely the Supreme Court judgment to decriminalise homosexuality and to partially repeal Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code. The UK's position is that no one should be discriminated against on grounds of gender, race, ethnicity or sexual orientation. And so it's a fantastic and historic moment for India to decriminalise this law, and that's why we're hosting the event this evening.
I feel liberated. I feel like as if the Supreme Court has written a love letter and a declaration of independence, Satyame Jayate, finally to the LGBTQ community of this country.
India's Supreme Court had given the unanimous decision of overturning the ban on gay sex in a landmark judgment last month. Gay sex is considered taboo by many in India, and it was reinstated as a criminal offence in 2013 after 4 years of decriminalisation. Earlier, it was punishable by up to 10 years in jail. Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. India-Russia sign 8 agreements to boost bilateral ties. Anti-Pakistan protests to erupt in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. And Afghan government rejects private and profit-driven war. And now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter at @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend and good night.